Good evening, good evening, good evening. We want to welcome you to Empowerment Liberation Cathedral's Word Wednesday. We are doing special Black History Month studies during this month of February. And so we ask that you would tune in each week. Any week that you miss, we ask that you would go back and look at the video. We are having an awesome time sharing this information during the month of February, which is Black History Month. So this time, we'll give you a few moments to get on. We want to give everybody a few moments to hit like, give you a few moments to hit share, and a few moments to create a watch party. Now, I'm going to do the same thing, but we ask that each of you would share this live on your page because we have some great information for you on tonight. And our ELC leadership is going to get on in 1 second and begin to talk about uh, some facts from Black history that we all need to know. So at this time, if you will, share it on your pages. If you will, create a watch party and hit like. Uh, we would be so appreciative. Once again, come on, come on, come on. We want all of you to have a few moments to get on before we start talking about these wonderful, wonderful people that have made such tremendous contributions in our society. So we're giving you a few minutes to get on, and your friends a few minutes to get on, your family members a few minutes to get on. Don't forget to like us at on Instagram at Empower Cathedral. Don't forget to like us and follow us, I should say, on Twitter. And join us on Roku. We know a lot of y'all have Roku TVs now. So join us on Roku on Sundays at 11, as well as every Wednesday right here at 7 p.m. Once again, make sure that you are hitting the like button and make sure you are sharing. So we want you to see all of the wonderful ELC leadership that will be participating in our discussion on tonight. So we have Deacon Kim Hall. We have Deacon Sylvester Stokes. We have Deacon Ronnie Bullock. The deacons are always here and ready, I tell you. And then we have Minister Eliana Bullock. And then we have Minister Catherine McCann Page. So the ministers have said the deacons ain't going to have all the fun. They're going to get on tonight and make sure that they are participating in this dynamic Black History Month discussion. I want to say robust. That's what I want to say. All right. And so we're going to start with our first person. Let me share my screen here. Somebody guessed it. Somebody knew what I was going to put up first. All right. So the first person we have is the infamous one and only Vice President Kamala Harris. Anybody ever seen this lady before? Vice President of these United States of America. Kamala Harris is 56. She is the first Black, first South Asian American, and first woman Vice President of the United States of America. Vice President Kamala Harris became the first Black and first South Asian American and first woman Vice President on January 20th, 2021. She was born in Oakland, California, to an Indian mother and a Jamaican father. She was the first Vice President to have graduated from a historically Black college or university, an HBCU. And who knows what school that is? That is none other than Howard University in Washington, D.C. And she credits Howard University for her sense of being and meaning to her time while she was there. And so Harris is also a member of the oldest historic Black sorority, which is Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She was the first Black American to serve as California's Attorney General from 2011 to 2016. And in 2016, she was elected as a Democrat to the United States Senate for the state of California. So we're going to talk about none other than the Vice President Kamala Harris. Anybody? Now, we're not talking all day. We got a lot of people to get through. So just want to let y'all know. All right. Anybody on Kamala Harris?
Well, Bishop, as a 56-year-old African-American woman, I applaud Vice President Kamala Harris and all that she had to endure, and everything that she's achieved, and all her accomplishments. And I am very proud to say that we have an African-American Vice President, female. So that's all I want to say about that.
Yes. Anybody else?
And I'm glad she can actually hold rhythm. Like, she's actually a real woman of color. She can hold rhythm. She represents us. She's a true auntie. You'll hear her answer what, like, she's real. I really, really, really like that about her, because our young girls, they need to see a real Black woman that they can say, I can be her, and I don't have to change my Blackness to be there. So I love it. I love it.
Yes. Did anybody notice at the inauguration when she saw the baby girl, she like went over to her. Don't none of y'all mean nothing. Let me go hug the baby. So anybody else on the Vice President?
I was just going to say that it's absolutely amazing to be able to just witness history being made. We'll oftentimes talk about Black History Month and we reference that which has already happened. And so we're talking about stuff that's happening now and something that's really real and that we can actually see and feel. And so it feels great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, for me, I think it's amazing. I just love her down to earth spirit. And I actually have her on my TikTok, and her and her nieces, and they'll be at it and they be going at it. And she is a real household name. She doesn't make you feel like you need to put on or pretend, having a conversation. I would like to have a conversation with her one day. I know it would be fun. It wouldn't be no pressure, and it wouldn't be, no jobbing. It would be all fun and relaxing and stuff like that. But she know her business. When she's opened her mouth to speak, that she has been to somebody college. I don't want to say HU because Bishop well, go to Howard, but that's her college as well. But yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love her. And I just hope to, meet her one day. Minister Ileana and I, we're going to get together. We're going to try to work that out so y'all can see us standing next to her, asking her questions and just having a good time with her. But I just want to say, I am so excited to be able to say I have lived to see a first female Black Vice President, and I'm honored.
All right, so we're going to move to our next person. Rosalind Brewer, 58, Walgreens next CEO, and only Black woman to currently lead a Fortune 500 company. So she will be the only Black woman currently leading a Fortune 500 firm, and just the third Black woman in the history to serve as a Fortune 500 CEO. The two others, Ursula Burns, served as CEO of Xerox from 2009 to 2016, and she was the first. And then Mary Winston, who served as interim CEO at Bed Bath & Beyond in 2019, was the second. So Brewer joined Starbucks in 2017 as the company's first Black and first woman COO. Previously spent 5 years serving as the CEO of Sam's Club. Did anybody know that? Then prior to her work for the Walmart company who owns Sam's Club, she spent 22 years working for manufacturing company Kimberly-Clark, where she started her career as a scientist and eventually worked her way up to being president of the company's global non-woven sector in 2024. Brewer has been transparent about the challenges she faced as one of the very few Black women in the C-suite. And what she says is key here. I love this. She says, when you're a Black woman, you get mistaken a lot. Um, she said that sometimes you're mistaken for the kitchen help. Can anybody believe that you're at this level and they mistake you for the kitchen level, the kitchen help? Sometimes people assume that you're in the wrong place when you're at the meetings and the conferences. So, anybody on Rosalind Brewer?
I think it's phenomenal. I've been to a lot of women empowerment sessions with leaders in healthcare, and it's so amazing when you see how the powerful, I say powerful because they're amazing Black women, but how these Black women, the elite in their field of study, are treated when they walk into a room, and then how their counterpart, who is a white man, is treated when he walks into a room. I can only imagine what she went through. And for her to be asked for coffee, I've been there when somebody when they didn't know why I was in that meeting, and they expected something different until I sat at the head of the table. So it's rough, but I counted humility. You know, you just keep yourself humble in all those situations, because your rise is not always going to be recognized by everyone else. But I applaud her. I applaud her.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
I feel the
Anybody?
same way Minister Ileana feels, because, I remember being in places where I was managers and program managers, and being that people look at me as young, they didn't think that I would be able to do that job or hold that position. But because you're young, because you're a Black woman, and because you are doing the job of who people assume that, that you shouldn't be doing, you are looked down upon. And especially in establishments, when I used to walk in the courthouse and stuff like that, because a lot of people say, oh, that's man's world, kind of thing, or that white man world, kind of thing. But it's not. I think that people just need to respect people as people and what they can do and what they are accountable for doing, and just, be as that. But, the world will look at it as that way. But in everything you said, Bishop, Starbucks, I heard that. And I'm going to harp on that, because I'm a Starbucks queen. I just need to get with Miss Brewer so I can find out how I can get some shares so I can partake, because I have 47 Starbucks cups and counting, and I still go every day. So I love Starbucks, and it's so good to have, someone of color behind the scenes of things and saying that I did it, I've been there, I ran that. So I just love it. I love it. I love it. And I am going to get those shares.
Well, I hope you do get those shares. Right now, I only have one, so I would love to have more. All right, so our next person, we've got some great people. I do want to make sure we get all of these in. All right, so excuse me if I mispronounce her name, but I believe it's Dr. Kismikia Corbett. That's what it looks like. All right, now this is phenomenal. Y'all get ready. She is one of the scientists on the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine team. Okay, so Dr. Fauci in the presentation talked about the COVID-19 and the Moderna vaccine, and he said the first thing you might want to say to my African American brothers and sisters is that the vaccine that you're going to be taking was developed by an African American woman. Somebody fall out your chair and get back up, okay? And Dr. Fauci said that's a fact. Dr. Kismikia Corbett, she's a 35-year-old viral immunologist and research fellow in the Vaccine Research Center of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Now, does that sound like where Dr. Fauci works? So if anybody knows, he knows. She is the lead scientist on the team that developed the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. She built on her 6 years of experience studying, so this wasn't overnight, studying the spike proteins of other coronaviruses like SARS and MERS in order to design the vaccine within, get this, 2 days of the novel coronavirus being discovered. I tell you, Black folks are amazing. And so Corbett has a PhD in microbiology and immunology from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hills. Come on, what y'all got to say about the Black woman who brought us Moderna vaccine?
I read about her, I don't know, a little bit a while ago, and I just thought it was amazing that she did all of this, and she's still rather young, you know. So she's still, I mean, if she's discovering making vaccines now, imagine what's going to happen in a few years from now, you know. Dr. Fauci by her side, she could be having his job soon, you know. So yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody? Anybody else?
That's why math is important. That's why science is important.
Yeah.
That's why it's important for us to tell our kids they can do and be anything that they want to be. And if the books aren't in your school, talk to somebody, because we'll get the books to you. This is a clear example of not stunning a child's ability to just explore math, science, be creative, and all of those things.
Yes.
You know, she is definitely an example that it can happen, it will happen, and you don't have to be on an NFL team, you don't have to be on a basketball team. That she is the greatest star in the world right now. She's one of the greatest female Black stars in the world, and she's not yielding a racket, she's not any of those things. So I want our kids to see stars. That's a shero. That's a shero right there. And she doesn't have to be on anybody's team, not a sports team, or singing on a stage, or showing her body. Just want to let our girls know that.
She's a real MVP. What y'all talking about?
Right.
You know, I tell my kids all the time, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And while your children's minds are still sponge, feed them the knowledge that they need to carry them through life. Their brain and their mind is a sponge. And I do believe that. I used to tell my kids, your mind is a terrible thing to waste. You can use it for good and use it for evil. What you gonna choose to use it for? So you might as well use it for something that 35? Come on, 35, at 35 years old, people are still getting it together. They're still making up their mind at 35. And at 35, PhD making vaccines to save the nation. Come on, this is real. And I hope a lot of kids are watching. Could y'all share, please? Could y'all please share to encourage our young people that you can be anything you want to be. And you don't have to be on the stage, just like Minister said, you don't have to be doing all those things to be the real MVP. So be encouraged, young folks.
And so I was just going to add to that. This is a perfect example of being young, gifted, and Black.
Yes.
Young, gifted, and Black. This is a perfect example. And so not only is she on the team, but she's the lead of the team. And she's doing so much in terms of contribution, not just to the United States, but to the world, because that vaccine will transmit throughout. And so it is absolutely wonderful example of being young, gifted, and Black.
Deacon Ronnie?
Deacon Chair just dropped the mic, so I'm good with that. I don't need to say anything else.
Okay. So, up next, we have Victor Glover, 44, first Black astronaut to live and work at the International Space Station for an extended stay. So, he settled in for a 6-month stay to become the first Black astronaut to live and work on ISS for an extended period of time. Glover, who is serving as pilot and second in command on the crew, said, "I wish it would have already been done, but I try not to draw too much attention to it," when he was talking about the bittersweet moment that he's had some amazing colleagues before him that really could have done what he did, and there will be some amazing people behind him. But before becoming a NASA astronaut, Glover was a commander and test pilot in the US Navy, where he flew 2,000 hours in over 40 aircrafts and 24 combat missions. Glover got his bachelor's in general engineering from California Polytechnic State University. and received multiple related graduate school degrees, including a master in flight test engineering. I didn't even know you can get a master's in flight test engineering from Air University, and a master's in systems engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School. And so it was Glover's fifth grade science teacher at Allison Elementary in Pomona, California, Mr. Hargrove, who inspired Glover to pursue STEM, an area where Blacks in the US are underrepresented, and Black and Latino students drop out of STEM degrees at higher rates than their white peers. So he said, my interest in math encouraged him to suggest that I consider engineering. At the time, I didn't even know any engineers. And so we have Victor Glover.
He's over here getting degrees and things we didn't even know existed. So I think, when he finishes, his work, that he would be an excellent role model to start some kind of program, mentoring program, to get more young Black men into the areas that he went into, because who would know that these things even exist? I mean, you just don't. It's not glamorous, I'm sure it prays pretty well, but it's not glamorous. Like you say, it's not football, basketball. So there are a lot of kids out there who could be perfect matches for these types of programs, but you don't know they exist.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just want to piggyback off what my sister said. That's so true. I think a lot of times we think of education standards and what we've seen. And before, and I have to give kudos to our First Dale, before I talked to First Dale, I didn't realize how creative you can be in what type of degree that you want, and how creative you can be in achieving it. And, so it is important that people tell our little Black boys that if you are interested in the socket that keeps the wheel on the car, then that's what you need to study. You know what I mean? If you're interested in the fuel that fuels the car, but not the car, that's what you need to study. You don't need to be a mechanic. You need to be an engineer developing these, you know what I mean? Like, and so kind of tell them how to do that. I agree with you 100%, Kim. And then my fifth grade teacher is Miss Lamont, giving a shout out to Miss Lamont. She realized I wasn't just a bad kid. I appreciate you, Miss Lamont. She realized I needed to be challenged. We need more teachers that understand that when our kids are jumping off the walls, it may not be because they need a pill. It may be because they need to be challenged. So I just kudos that all of that resulted in this amazing man doing something awesome. And again, little boys can look up to him and not have to see him on a basketball court.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna move.
I like that what you said, Minister. I like what you said, not always shoving a pill down somebody's throat, but seeing the potential in the individual and challenging them to be greater.
All right, so our next person, somebody knows her. All right, so now we have Amanda Gorman, 22, youngest inaugural report in U.S. history. So a lot of people feel like she stole the inauguration show. When she gave her poem, when she recited her poem, The Hill We Climb. And that particular poem called for Americans to rebuild, reconcile, and recover from deeply rooted divides and racial inequities, particularly during a time of unprecedented illness, death, political strife, and calls for racial justice across the country. And so she finished writing her poem, for those who might not know, shortly after the January 6th riots or insurrection at the Capitol building, and drew inspiration from speeches of American leaders during other historic times of division. And she is a young poet, activist, and author. She grew up in Los Angeles. She began writing as a way to cope with her speech impediment. At age 16, she was named the Youth Poet Laureate of LA. And at 19, she became the first National Youth Poet Laureate while studying sociology at Harvard University. Howard just naturally comes out of my mouth, but this is Harvard. And so Gorman, who writes about race and gender, was invited to the swearing-in ceremony by First Lady Jill Biden, and follows in the footsteps of inaugural poets Maya Angelou and Robert Frost. So Amanda Gorman. All right, anybody?
And you know,
Well,
go ahead.
Bishop, you said people feel like she stole the show. She did steal it. She did, because I know. I was at work during the inauguration, and I was in and out, and I missed her initially. I saw it on replay, but it was hours later, and I kept hearing her name. Like, who is this person they're talking about? So I went back and found it, and I was like, oh my, she is good. But I thought she was a little younger than she is, which is a good thing because, she's got a good future ahead of her, and it's like being an adult. It's at first I thought she was younger, but now I know she's an adult, so I know she can really excel, up there now because she's, she is a little older. So, but I was impressed.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I love spoken word, so she was just phenomenal with that. I mean, just phenomenal with that. And I love the fact that she got into what she was doing in a way that was comfortable for her, because she had to move with the words. As
Yes.
part of her process to not have her speech impediment, she moved with the words. And I think it's just awesome because a lot of our children have different challenges, and for them to find what works with them, regardless of where the audience is, they still do what works for them to get through what they need to get through. So I think that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say her rhythm is what drew me in. I love the rhythm in which she spoke with, and I love the naturalness in which she appeared in. She was not overly made up. She wasn't extreme. She was just very beautiful in her naturalness. And so that's Amanda Gorman. All right, so next we have, some of y'all might know this person. All right, making real history is the Reverend Raphael Warnock, 51, Georgia's first Black senator. Reverend Raphael Warnock, he is the first senator, Black senator of the state of Georgia, but he's also the first Black Democrat senator from the South since the Reconstruction era. Can you believe it? It was amazing to read that. Warnock, 51, grew up in Savannah, Georgia, graduated from Morehouse cum laude in 1991. 2005, he became the youngest senior pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church. I remember hearing about when he got called to be the pastor of Ebenezer, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was once the pastor. And so in his live stream victory speech, I remember watching this. It was a very touching speech. But one of the things he said, he reflected on the historic nature of his election, as well as on his mother, who in 1950s picked cotton and tobacco. So his statement was, the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton went to the polls and picked her youngest son to be the United States Senator. So that is the Reverend, or I should say Senator Raphael Warnock.
Bishop, that statement referencing his mom and the 80-year-old hands just sent chills through me. There's just so much rich history associated with his name, from being connected to Martin Luther King, from being a person of faith, and being the first Black male for this, first Black male for that. It's enlightening and it's encouraging. I'm hoping that the younger boys and girls, men and ladies, are really listening and taking in these contributions, because they're real, but they're so important. But it's evidence that we can do anything. People may
Absolutely.
put a barrier up, but we have ways. God will allow us to get over those barriers. And this is a perfect example. And so I'm excited for what's going to be done, but I'm excited that there's so much rich history associated with this whole scenario.
Yeah. Yes.
Bishop, I just wanted to add that it's my understanding he was the only one in his family that graduated from college. And it's like, well, in his immediate family, I should say. I'm not sure about his aunts and uncles or cousins or whatever, but in his immediate family. So, you know, you can overcome any type of circumstances, no matter what it looks like around you, no matter if your siblings aren't doing whatever you think they should be doing, or if they're getting in trouble, or if they're not listening to your mom or your dad and all those things. You have the opportunity to get out of that situation and make something best for you. And so I just applaud him. I listened to his speech also, and it was very overwhelming, very, you know, it was very enlightening. It's just such a positive message that he gave, and knowing his background related to church as well. So I know that night he was on his knees, or that whole week he was fasting and praying and said, God, make a way out of no way. So, you know, all that just resonates with me. So, you know, we're talking about kids a lot this week. So it's like, no matter what it looks like in your surroundings, you can come out of any situation if you put your mind to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, he's living testimony, truly, that, you know, anything we put our minds to can be done, because people continue to say that he probably would not get the seat. And today he has the seat. But Reconstruction, that was a bit much when I heard that. No Black Democrat at all has represented the South since Reconstruction. So we just thank God for the ceilings that we are breaking and how we are changing the world. Go ahead, Minister, before I change.
And Bishop, I just wanted to also say, before he was in the limelight, he actually worked for the juvenile justice system, and he recruited, as he was working for the juvenile justice system, he recruited enough volunteers that 100% of the juveniles that went to court in his district had representation. Like, that's phenomenal. He made sure they had representation. And then he was part of the push. Is a case, a kid that wanted to play softball, LGBTQ child that wanted to play softball. Yep, he was part of that, supporting that child through the process of being, you know, ostracized and all of that, that the child won the case. So he's been fighting for our people, Black, lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, queer, you know, all of us. He's been fighting for all of us long before he was in the limelight. As a believer, as a Christian man, he believed in our rights as children of God. Amazing guy. Definitely needs to be on his seat. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So we have somebody that some people may not know, but we want you to know them on today. So we have Rashida Jones, 39. She is the MSNBC. Anybody watch Joy Reid? Anybody watch Reverend Al Sharpton? She is the MSNBC president and first Black executive to run a major television news network. So if you're not watching MSNBC, we want you to start watching now. All right. In her 8 years at MSNBC and her 21 years in the business, she has been working in the journalism industry. February 1st, Jones started her new role as president at MSNBC, making her the first Black executive to lead a major television network. Jones was previously senior vice president of news at MSNBC and NBC News, where she oversaw breaking news coverage like the coronavirus pandemic. We know they gave us a lot of information on that. She was overseeing also the 2020 election. If you didn't tune in to MSNBC during the election, you missed out, because it was wonderful on there. Jones set rating records. Don't we always set some kind of record and we break the records? She set rating records for 2 town hall specials and helped oversee the second presidential debate, during which NBC correspondent Kristen Welker became only the second Black woman to moderate a presidential debate solo. Okay. The first one was ABC News journalist Carol Simpson in 1992. So Jones has also helped to bring more diversity to MSNBC's daytime and weekend schedule. Like she's the one who extended Nicole Wallace's show, Deadline, White House. And so she's saying that her promotion is bigger, or everyone around her has said her promotion is bigger than her. And it's the kind of story Black and brown children everywhere need to see so they can know what is possible. And so we have Rashida Jones. As of February, she is the new president of the MSNBC. Anybody? I'm telling you, we are doing some great things. Our people are doing some great things. What about the MSNBC watchers? Y'all don't have nothing?
Oh, I'm definitely one. But you know, like they say, if you want to change the narrative, you got to get in there and control what's going on. Because I've noticed, I watch MSNBC all the time, and I did not know that she was the president, but I have noticed that this channel has the most diversity that I've ever seen. You know, so when you turn on other ones, you don't see it. Of course, we're not going to name them other ones, but this channel has great diversity. And if you don't see the other viewpoint, it's because they didn't want to come on. They're invited, but they don't want to come on.
Anybody else? All right, so that is
Bishop. I'm sorry, I was having fun with my mouse.
okay.
What I have noticed is that a lot of times we as Black women and men that created such great things or have done such powerful acts, we always find ourselves in the background until someone actually throws us out there, because we always working quietly. We're not big mouthed and, you know, got to show off and showboat all the time. And sometimes a lot of people don't understand it. They think we, you know, sometimes those great people are just working behind the scenes of things. And then all of a sudden, poof, they come out and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know so-and-so did that. Oh my God, I didn't know this one did that. So, you know, we're those quiet workers. And then when all of a sudden you'll know who's behind everything. Like the young lady, I didn't know she was behind, you know, the COVID vaccination, the vaccine that is everybody. I mean, you know, I'm learning so much new stuff tonight that is amazing, because if you're not making noise and you're not the big mouth person on television, you're not going to be seen. You understand? So it's just that when the great come out and you're pushed to the forefront to celebrate, then everybody like, oh, snap. You know, that's what I thought so-and-so. So I'm just saying that when you're working quiet and you're doing your thing, you know, sometimes people don't notice you. Sometimes you got to make a big fuss, but I just thank God that you are doing this tonight, because I was not aware. So I know a lot of people out there is just like me. We were not aware. So now you know, so educate yourself. So now you know, so I'm just like really excited, and I'm going to start sending this. I'm writing it down because I'm going to send it to my kids. You know, I believe in sharing.
And we want to make sure that we're getting this information out. We've got some great African Americans who are doing some awesome things. So we have Nicholas Johnson, age 23, Princeton. Anybody ever heard of Princeton University? First Black valedictorian. So now, in May 2020, Nicholas Johnson was announced as Princeton University's first Black valedictorian in the school's 275-year history. So it has taken us 275 years to get to be the valedictorian of this well-known institution. And it's supposedly progressive. So, but it's taken us 275 years. Okay, but I'm not gonna start on that. Okay, so when we look at Princeton's first 9 presidents were themselves slave owners, as were many of the institution's professors during those early years. And the fact that today we have a Black valedictorian goes to show how much work has been done, but also how much progress we need to make. Johnson is a native of Montreal, Canada. and is now earning a doctorate in operations research at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So anybody about this young man who has broken the glass ceiling for people of color and has become the first Black to be the valedictorian of Princeton University?
Bishop, I was just thinking that he must not have missed not one class, one assignment, any of that. Because you're thinking about it, 275 years, that's a long time. Better than 400 years. Got that? But it's all there. It's all there. And look at that. Look at that. I'm just amazed. And as Minister Kat said, I'm so happy that you're bringing all of this information, this rich information to us so that we can share with the world, because I didn't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Deacon Chair. I am amazed at all these new faces that I've never seen before that have reached it or surpassed the glass ceiling, broke the glass ceiling. I never heard of this kid before in my life. I never heard of Amanda before in my life until the Super Bowl. I'm not a speakeasy type person, but she was fantastic. And I watch her on YouTube over and over again. But nonetheless, this young man here, it's amazing. For one, and let me just put a disclaimer out there. I'm not saying anything about different races. All I'm saying is he is a Black man. He doesn't look like he has any other stuff running through his bloodline, and nothing is wrong with it. But he is a beautiful Black male. And I'm so proud that he could potentially look like my son if I had one. A biological son. He does look like my non-biological son, but it's just amazing that he looks that way. And I wonder how he talks or how he sounds, or what he likes to do in his spare time other than read, of course. But it's amazing, and I'm proud to know that he is who he is for Princeton after 275 years.
275 years. It's amazing. Okay, so we're gonna move on. We got a few more people I want us to get to. All right, so I need some of y'all to remember this lady's name. Her name is Cynthia Marshall. She is 61. First Black woman CEO in the NBA. Anybody like basketball? Anybody like basketball? Watch basketball. So her statement that she makes in an interview she had, she says, I need to make sure I'm not the last. And so she's with the Dallas Mavericks. She's the Dallas Mavericks boss. And so she made history in 2018 as the first Black woman CEO in the NBA. I want to skip over a little bit. Marshall, she was a former AT&T executive who was hired by billionaire Mavericks owner. Somebody knows his name, Mark Cuban. The cleanup.
Mark Cuban.
They always, I don't know why we have to be the cleanup people, but I'm not going to go there. But he hired her to clean up the workplace culture after an investigation revealed 20 years of sexual harassment and misconduct issues. And so the Mavericks organization has pledged a minimum of 10,000 employee volunteer hours and $5 million to support local communities via education, scholarships, mentorship, and public policy. And so Marshall says, I have to make sure that I'm mentoring others. I love this. And helping others to mentor people like me so that we'll have a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth Black female CEO in the NBA. All right. She says 4 things led her to her own success: dreaming big, having focus, prayer, and taking action. So Cynthia Marshall is the woman CEO in the NBA.
Well, I have to say something about this.
Yes.
As a former woman basketball player, I got a scholarship in college to play basketball, but nobody came to our games other than our parents. If they were around, they came to our games, and of course, a couple of friends here and there. So for her to be over the NBA, it is amazing, and I am floored. Why didn't I know about her? And it just brings so many nostalgic memories that is just amazing. And it's like, who even thought that you can be that? Who even thought, how does she apply for that position? Like, what was the requirements to be over the NBA and a Black African American woman? But this was fabulous. This is awesome. Bishop, I don't know how you finding these people, but this is fabulous.
Yeah, Mark Cuban. I like Mark Cuban most days. Some days he works my nerve though on Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, yeah.
But he probably had heard of her or knew of her work, and was bold enough to find a woman of an African American woman to come and work with the Mavericks and be the CEO. So, hey, we thank God for people who think outside the box. Okay. We got a few more. Alicia Bowler Davis, first Black woman named to Amazon's senior team, the inner circle that advises Jeff Bezos. Now we know Jeff is leaving, but it's okay. Alicia Davis viewed the world like an engineer from the time she was a child, fixing broken appliances around the house in Detroit. High school, she took part in the program with the General Motors Institute, launched her engineering career designing cars for the company. She had over 25 years with General Motors, and she became the first Black woman to run a manufacturing plant at the company, the senior vice president of customer service, and later executive vice president of global manufacturing. So some of us didn't even know about all the things she had done with General Motors. She joined Amazon in 2019, and in August 2020 made history in her appointment as Amazon's first president of global customer fulfillment, when she became the first Black woman to join Amazon's prestigious S-Team, a group of executives that advises CEO Jeff Bezos. And Amazon's workforce, when we look at that, it consists roughly of about 27% Black employees and about 8% are managers. All right, so now, what do we have to say about this woman who has broken the glass ceiling at Amazon? All of y'all Prime folks, y'all don't have nothing to say about our sister Alicia Davis?
You know what, Bishop? It's a wonderful thing that she's in the C-suite. I think that's wonderful. I just hate that she has to be customer service in the C-suite. It seems like for whatever reason, we're quickly promoted in customer service or customer fulfillment or all of that. But the other areas, it's not as quick. But I'm still glad that she's in that area and she can promote change and things like that. But that's the only thing. It's just customers. I just get a thorn in my side when it's always like, oh, we promoted you to such and such and such, you Black woman, for customer service. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But yeah.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So now I got another one for you. All right. So this next person, I think Minister Cat may need to have a comment on. So Melody Hobson, 51. First Black woman to serve as chair of Starbucks board. She was the youngest of 6 children. She was raised by a single mother in Chicago. Credits her financially poor upbringing for driving her into the career she's in today. She graduated from Princeton University. Now, we know that when she was there, she didn't make valedictorian because it took 275 years for them to get one. But she did graduate from there in 1991. And she joined the Ariel Investments as a college intern, spent nearly 2 decades as the firm's president, before named co-CEO in 2019. In addition to being the incoming chair of Starbucks board, Hobson serves as a director of JP Morgan Chase's board. I was like, wow, that is amazing. I was very surprised and very proud to hear that she was on the JP Morgan Chase board. And she's the chairman of the After School Matters, a Chicago nonprofit that provides local teens with high quality after school programs. Known for her philanthropic work, Hobson and her foundation donated an undisclosed large gift to her alma mater in October 2020 to establish a new residential college at Princeton. Hobson College, tentatively scheduled to open in the fall of 2026, will be the university's first, somebody better write this down, residential college named after a Black woman. I tell you, Black women are making things happen. Black men are making things happen as well. And her words are, my hope is that my name will remind future generations of students, especially those who are Black and brown and the first in their families, that they too belong. So anybody on Melody Hobson?
Now, y'all know I got to say something. Now, I'm in Starbucks all the time, and I never got this information. Shouldn't they have a little brochure or something to let you know who's behind all the work and all the people that's in the store? I spend so much money. If I show y'all my app, I got like $75 on my app. You understand what I'm saying? If people ask you what you want, I go, give me a Starbucks gift card. Somebody, please. You know, so I'm just saying that I don't know this information. It's shame on me, because I should have been looking this stuff up a long time ago to see where I'm investing my dollars into. Now I am proud. I am so proud that this have not gone to waste. Everybody out there who knows I love Starbucks know that all y'all who talked about me is a colored me that is down and is running this stuff. Y'all hear that? That is so amazing to really know what you're buying into. I did not know. Now I know. Yeah. Now I know. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to Starbucks tomorrow to brag. They're going to be tired of me when I walk up in there. Let me give me a bulletin, a big poster board, and put their pictures on it and say, this need to sit outside your store. People need to know who they're investing in. And I'm just saying, I'm sick. I'm loving this. I'm loving this, Bishop. I'm loving this. Do this for the rest of the year. I'm loving this.
I think Minister Katz, Starbucks budget is about to double right now.
Double, but don't y'all send Minister Cat all your Starbucks cards. Divide them up, send Bishop some also. Okay, so we don't want Minister Cat to have, and Minister Eliana, the ministers and the pastor need some Starbucks cards, okay? All right, Deacon Ronnie, you want to say something?
The deacons are looking like, okay.
Did you want to say? Oh, Bishop, I wanted to say, she said I won't be valedictorian, but you know what? Somebody gonna graduate from my school on that campus. How about that?
You
so I won't be valedictorian, but my name will be on one of those buildings. Yeah. So you will forever have to say my name.
I love her. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I tell you, we are doing some awesome things. All right. So now all of my military folks, I need y'all to look alive. Look alive. We have Midshipman Sydney Barber. She is 21, the U.S. Naval Academy's first Black female brigade commander. All right, so we know this is major. This is major. In the U.S. Naval Academy's 175-year history, there has never, y'all hear me, never been a Black woman to serve as a brigade commander. All of that changed this January when Midshipman Sydney Barber stepped into the role. And so Barber grew up in Lake Forest, Illinois. She was inspired by her dad, who graduated from the academy in 1991 to attend the institution. She explains that like many other Black attendees who walked through the academy's doors before her, her dad experienced racism during his tenure as a midshipman. Knowing her dad's experience and the experience of countless other diverse leaders, the 21-year-old says she's extremely humbled by her new opportunity. She doesn't take the responsibilities of her role lightly. However, she says Miss Janie Mines, another one of her mentors, she was the first Black female graduate of the Naval Academy. She says that she also has inspired her, and she's someone that she talks to often. And so there we have Midshipman Sydney Barber.
Well, as a former military person, I salute her. I salute her. At 21, a commander, unheard of. I mean, absolutely unheard of. Heard of. And so I salute her, and wow, that's all I can say. I salute her.
For her to be the leader of her class as a Black woman is a major deal, because females have led before, but just like, what was it, Harvard with the first Black graduate, she's the first Black woman to serve as the class leader. And, you know, in the military, you know, it's still kind of a man's world a little bit. That's a great accomplishment. And so it'll only take her, you know, to further places in the military. She probably will end up making a career out of it. She probably didn't need to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was very touching when I read that she said her dad cried on the phone when she told him about the position that she was in. All right, I got one that's very good for y'all, for those people who are sitting at home and who watched the television on, I believe, this past Sunday. So we have Jesse Collins, 50, first Black executive producer of the Super Bowl halftime show. Anybody know that that's a big deal? He was the executive producer of the Super Bowl halftime show. Roughly 100 million people tuned into the Super Bowl, and its halftime show is, you know, really sometimes what a lot of people tune into to see if they're not really always interested in the football game. So in 2021, the most watched TV concert headline by The Weekend will have Jesse Collins at the helm, making him the first Black executive producer of the Super Bowl halftime show. Collins began his 20-year career in TV writing, which eventually led to producing and becoming founder and CEO of his entertainment company. He's known for producing some of the most memorable moments in history, with award shows, including Emmy-nominated work for the 61st Grammy Awards in 2019, as well as scripted series, competition shows, and new specials like last summer's John Lewis Celebrating a Hero. He did that. May 2020, Jesse Collins Entertainment signed a multi-year deal. I wanted to make sure y'all heard this, with Viacom CBS cable network to provide production services for BET, CMT, Central Comedy Central, MTV, Paramount Network, TV Land, and VH1. Through the agreement, Collins will produce theatrical films for the first time. And so this man is doing it. That's all I can say. And so the statement he makes is, this is not some affirmative action type of situation, because at the end of the day, we are great storytellers. We are great actors, actresses, and directors. And so, you know, kudos to Jesse Collins for what he is doing and how he is shaping America. Because what people are putting on TV now, you're helping to change the minds and hearts of many people. So anybody on Jesse?
Bishop, I didn't know he did the Super Bowl, but I knew he did a couple of other things, and I heard the name, but I never saw his face. So I didn't know if he was Black, white, or whatever. But he's got to be some kind of smart, because I was reading on CNN where The Weeknd paid $7 million to whomever to be part of the Super Bowl. So I don't know if this Mr. Collins has something to do with that. Say, you're going to perform on the Super Bowl, but you're going to have to pay because you're really not that good. So we're going to need to take some money from you. He had to pay $7 million in order to be seen and have all the background and everything that he wanted for the Super Bowl. So that's some good business sense right there with Mr. Collins. Yep.
Yes. Anybody else on that one? Well, most people know that my family is the Collins family, so I told First L he's got to be a cousin since since he's doing what he's doing. Okay, so this next person, I'm sure some folks on here are gonna be excited about. Jason Wright, 38, the first Black president of a National Football League team. All right. I'm scared to say the team name because the people might just go up on the live today. In August 2020, Jason Wright became president of the Washington football team, making him the National Football League first ever Black president. All right, so some of y'all might know it as the Washington Redskins, but they've changed the name. So at 38, Wright is also currently the youngest president of an NFL team. All right, so Deacon Ronnie, I'm sure had to get up and go do a dance or something. And so Wright spent 7 years as a running back with the Atlanta Falcons, the Cleveland Browns, and Arizona Cardinals. He understands business because in 2010, he left the NFL to earn his MBA at the University of Chicago. From there, he spent 7 years at McKinsey and Company, where he specialized in turning around struggling corporations. And so within the Washington team, one of the biggest challenges he is facing will be to fix the franchise's culture, which includes handling allegations of sexual harassment, there that is again, and leaving behind the legacy of the team's racist former name. And so Jason Wright is very optimistic, believe that he is the one that can turn this team and franchise around. So what do we have to say about Jason Wright, the first Black man to be the president of a National Football League team?
Well, Bishop, I had to go put my hat on, as you guys know that I'm a Washington football fanatic. When I first found that out, I was floored. I couldn't believe it, but so proud right here in the capital that we have an African-American to own a football team. It's just absolutely amazing. Young brother, he's not, old and, ready to give his stuff over to his kids. Let me be careful. A young brother who can open doors for a whole lot of other young brothers and young sisters. So my hat goes off to this young man right here.
Well, let me say, Dan Snyder still owns the team.
Oh.
But we have him as the president.
Okay.
So I don't want to get in trouble.
That's right.
So Dan Snyder still owns the team, but the Black man is the one that's running it.
He's running it. That's right.
So, yes.
And Bishop, what I would say about that situation, that is a power move. Even for Snyder to allow that to happen. And so when you look at the accomplishment of this young man, Mr. Wright, he played, but then he transitioned into the business portion of the same thing that you love.
Yes.
And so I'm looking forward to, because I'm a Washington fan as well, I'm looking forward to not only the victories, but the changing in the environment and the perception of the team and the whole 9 yards. So good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. So I know we're at our time, but I have 2 more that I just have to have us talk about. The next to the last. So hopefully I don't mispronounce her name, Bazoma St. John. And so she is 44. Netflix, some of y'all watch Netflix, some of y'all have subscriptions. Netflix Chief Marketing Officer, first Black C-suite executive at Netflix. All right, so St. John joined the streaming platform after working at top tier companies like sports and entertainment firm Endeavor, Uber, Apple, and PepsiCo. I didn't even know she was at Pepsi. During her 3-year tenure as head of music and entertainment marketing at PepsiCo, St. John made a name for herself by spearheading endorsement deals with celebrities like Beyonce, Kanye West, Nicki Minaj, and the late Michael Jackson. So she's been around for a while. She's an outspoken advocate for greater diversity and inclusion in the C-suite and beyond. St. John has used her platform to call on more companies to go beyond lip service when it comes to diversifying their workforce. And so we have another C-suite executive, Bazama St. John, at Netflix, part of the marketing department. Anybody on that?
Well, it's good that, she's able to bring movies that we want to see, and maybe have them stay on Netflix a little bit longer. But I think it's just great that, we're now having a say in what's going on. And if I'm not mistaken, that might allow her to also maybe put the green light on some new series or something too, so it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else?
I think it's awesome. If you want to see more of us, you have to put more of us in the decision-making seats. And I think that's what's happening. And we're achieving it. I don't want to say put, you're achieving it, because before one gets into that seat, 100 more have tried. And
Yeah.
so because she didn't give up, she's in the seat. So I think it's awesome.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that too, because I have noticed on Netflix when I had updated my Netflix, they have they didn't have more of selection of the Black cinema movies that's on there. If you go down the title list, now I see so many that are popping up, and I'm like, oh, they got this, they have that, they have that. So I'm like so excited. So to see the face behind the change is great. So congratulations to her, St. John's. Go girl.
Okay, our last but not least. All right, so we're gonna pray that Bishop can get their names right here. I believe that Sheik Kamara and Ermias Tedesse. Okay, that's what it's gonna be tonight. All right, if anybody knows them, have them write me and tell me, and I'll go back and correct it. All right, so they are 20-year-old co-founders of Black Gen Capital, Cornell University's first Black investment fund. So I was just excited when I saw these young men and saw that. So like many successful college students, Sheik and Ermias have taken full advantage of participating in many of the elite financial clubs and organizations at Cornell University. But when they looked around, they noticed they were the only blacks and black and brown people in the ranks of these clubs, which led these two juniors to launching the school's first minority owned investment fund called Black Gen Capital in 2019. They said, we created Black Gen Capital as a means to expand access to financial literacy education, resources that can empower students to get internships and learn about investing and budgeting and things like that. So Black Gen provides its members with a 10-week finance training program, as well as hands-on experience in pitching and managing investment ideas. The organization takes a long-term approach to investing, focusing on small cap companies that exhibit high growth. So within its first year, about 70% of Black Gen's roughly 64 members have secured jobs, internships on Wall Street, thanks to corporate sponsors that include Bank of America, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo. So kudos to these two 20-year-old students who felt the need to create an investment fund by the name of Black Gen Capital. And I love the fact they got Black in the name. All right. Anybody on these two gentlemen? Oh, Cornell. Does she have a Cornell sweatshirt?
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
So yes, I do have a Cornell. One of my cousins graduated, and I went all the way to Ithaca, New York, for her to graduate up in those mountains, and it's cold and everything. And you probably have to be brilliant to get into the school, and even more brilliant to graduate. So I only have a t-shirt. I'm not saying I went there. I only have the t-shirt because my baby cousin graduated from there. So I applaud them because I know how hard it is to get those accomplishments. So first time I ever heard of them, but as soon as I heard Cornell, I was like, wow. And not too many African Americans go to Cornell either.
Right.
So this is awesome. And for them to be able to get in the banking business, and this
Yes.
is blown my mind. This is fabulous.
And them to have the support of Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley,
Yes.
and Wells Fargo. That is key.
That's key.
That is
They're the big dogs. They running with the big dogs.
Absolutely. They are. And I just think it's so awesome that the value of their knowledge outweighed the bias of their skin color. These young boys figured out how to manage the market, and not only just for themselves, they taught their peers. 70% have jobs coming out there. You know how many of us have kids that graduate ain't got near job, near pot to piss in, window to throw it out of, and these boys are building legacies not only in their own family, they're building legacies in other families.
Yes.
These boys are bad. They are bad. That America is what you call black gold. That's gold.
Yes.
Them boys are bad.
So y'all look up Black Gen Capital. Black Gen, BLACKGEN Capital.
Bishop, that's what I think a lot of our young people need to see more of. You understand what I'm saying? They need to see more of themselves. You know, I think, you know, sometimes we telling our kids, you know, oh, go to school, go to college, you know, try this, try that. You know, when you are in these clubs and somebody holds you accountable for the things that you do or say and different things like that, I think they will be more so willing to push themselves above their potential. You know, that's why I have my sons in Boy Scouts and, you know, different teams and stuff that keep them accountable. Like, you can't quit because you suck. You know, get on out there and play because your team is going to fall behind. You are supposed to be a man down, ride the bench if you're going to ride the bench. Stop the seat from tilting over if that's what you're there for. But if you join the team, stick in it. You know, don't go when it get hard. You know, stick in it. And the people who's going to hold them accountable for not quitting, no matter how bad you are. You know, stay in the race because you never know. It builds resilience. You know, it builds something within you to keep on going. And a lot of our younger people today need to see that because sometimes they get discouraged too fast and they jump out of the race too fast. But back then, my mom ain't let you quit nothing. Anything she had to pay for, you going to ride into the wheels fall off. You going to come home crying and sore and everything else. My mother didn't play that. She had to give them $1 or a quarter. You're going to be in that until it's over because you begged to be in it. You know, so I think a lot of us, these young parents, sometimes we allow our kids to quit. Oh, they don't want to do it. They don't have to do it. You know, so we just need to try to hold them accountable so they can just stick with something and stay with it because you never know what they can become.
Bishop, I was gonna just make a comment in reference to the image, the picture that you showed of the two young men.
Yes.
When you show it for the last time, I want people to look at it closely. Look at the blackness.
Yes.
Look at the authenticity of how they present themselves. And so they're young black men. And so where I'm going with that is that it's not necessary to walk down the street with your baggy jeans on.
Absolutely.
It's not necessary to wear your hat backwards. Present a positive image. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but if you want to go somewhere,
yes,
I would encourage you to look and to be yourself, but more importantly, have that determination, trust in what you believe. At 20, both of those young men, at 20, just so much finance rolling in and rolling out.
And you know, I was reading it, Bishop, it's interesting. For the banks to partner with them, what the banks get is access to a coveted group of financial brains. So they already set the value of these students above all others. And if you want access to them, you have to pour back into this program. So they're coming out the gate, they graduate from this university, the top of the top. And banks are clamoring for them. Like they created their own need and fulfillment. They bad.
They are
Yes.
bad. You know what, Bishop, with everybody else saying, I agree, but I think we need to, when you hear Black history, we always think about Martin Luther King and Malcolm
Yes.
X and Harriet Tubman and, you know, all of those individuals. And I'm not saying don't talk about them anymore, but those are the faces that our kids always see for Black History Month. We need to start promoting these younger kids and say, oh, it is reachable, because everybody that is presented has passed away. They are ancestors now. But if
Yeah.
we put out there these younger people that are still around, that are just coming out, that are making all of these positive steps and being professional and having all these degrees and C-suites and everything, we need to start trying to figure out how we can promote the younger pioneers, I guess I should say.
Absolutely. And my thinking was, for those who have seen the movie The Banker, we know how difficult it was for African Americans to even get into this type of industry. And so for these two young men to have established this investment fund, and they're able to help people get jobs on Wall Street, and they have the banks backing them, this is like unheard of. And so we want to definitely support them in whatever way we can. We definitely want to make it known, and also, you know, begin to show these, like you said, to younger people so that they'll know, hey, you too can do these types of things and even greater. So anybody with any last comments? I know we're at 15 minutes over our time, but you know, it's been a great time of hearing about people who are living today, doing some phenomenal things in our country.
I just have something to say that's kind of outside of this, Bishop, really quickly. For those of you that are still online and would like to give to Empowerment Liberation Cathedral, you can give by Givelify. You can give Cash App at $ ELC Church, Givelify at Empowerment Liberation Cathedral, and you can text the word give to Tithely at 833-717-0242. We appreciate you so much for that.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. We will again on next week have a wonderful dialogue to talk a little bit more about our African Americans who are doing phenomenal things, and those who have, that are no longer with us, that have done some major things and made major contributions in our society. So don't forget to tune in on next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Join us on Sunday at 11 a.m. But also invite others to get on. And please remember to share this live, because we have had a wonderful, I said, robust discussion. We've got some great people that we talked about tonight, and we want to make sure that everybody hears their names, sees their faces, and know the wonderful things that they have done. All right. Thank you so much. May God bless you. May God keep you. And may God continue to smile upon each and every one of you. Have a blessed night. And as we always say, stay safe. And remember, this is the year